Hello beautiful people, thank you for tuning in. I'm Akira, and in this training video I'm going to share with you how I train my legs. In particularly, the focus is our quads. So what I do is I start off with pre-exhaust movement. So I get on the leg extension machine here. I set the weight to a weight that I can do 20 reps with, right? 20 reps while my focus is just trying to get blood into the muscle. Honey, can you move up? Alright, so here, make sure when you do the leg extensions, I'm focused on curling my toes to my chest, so my toes are up. When I do this one, it's just regular. Extend and down. Notice the position of my knees. My knees are not too far back and not too far forward. And I'm doing this, I'm focusing on just squeezing my quads as tight as I can. 20 reps. Lightweight movement. Focus here isn't to go to 18 and struggle to 20. I'm doing 20 reps. Just getting blood into the muscle. Once you get to 20, you're gonna drop the weight by half. So you may do 80 pounds with both legs, then you're gonna drop the weight by half and do just one leg, 20 reps. So what I like to do is I like to put one hand on my quad, which depending on what area of my quads I'm focusing on, whether it be my sweep or my tear. I focus on extending and flexing just that part of my quad. That's where I'm trying to connect. 20 reps. After you finish 20, you do the same thing on the other side. Now the pace is important. Notice when I'm doing my extensions, I'm not just kicking through, right? Not just kicking through it. When I do that, I feel more pressure on my knees. By taking my time and focusing on my positive and negative, I'm really trying to do almost a 2-second positive and a 2-second negative. Maybe even a second positive and a second negative. But my pace isn't, I'm not kicking the weight, right? At that point then I'm missing the point of trying to get blood into my muscles. So the first thing I'm doing here is just pre-exhausting my legs, getting blood into my quads, and really trying to connect with the movement. So just to recap, it's 20 with both legs, 20 single on each side. That's one set, that's one round. You're gonna repeat that 3 times. The rest interval in between, no rest in between each round. But on the next set you do, I like to give myself about 15 seconds rest and then I repeat. Keeping it really intense allows me to get more blood into the muscle and prepares me for what's next to come. On this next movement we're gonna do, again, the next one, you're going to start with the weight. You're going to start with the weight fairly heavy. You're going to do 15 reps on 10, and on the 15th rep, on the 10th and the 15th rep, you're going to do what it's called a flush. So you're going to do just regular leg extensions, right? Just like how we did in the warm-up. Just regular. When you get to the 10th rep, you're going to squeeze and hold. Flex your quads as tight as you can. Put all your focus and attention right there. 5 seconds. What that does is it rushes all the blood and all my focus and energy into this part of my body right here. 5 seconds. And then relax and then continue. Another 5. When you get to the 15th rep, squeeze and hold again. Squeeze. You'll feel it. So, that was 15 reps. Next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna add the weight. Progressively add the weight. I like to go up by the weight. Add the weight and you're gonna do the exact same thing. You're gonna do 10, flush on 10th, flush on the 15th. Go up with another plate. Repeat again. So you gotta watch how many that you're doing, but the main thing to take note of is when you're doing your extensions, you're not trying to, remember this is pre-exhaustive movement, so you're really not trying to do, at least for me, my rep range is actually pretty high because the focus is getting blood into the muscle. So if I'm trying to do 5 reps, I'm struggling and I can't even get to the 6th rep, I'm going too heavy. That's how I know. So you gotta kind of gauge it. So don't pay attention to the weight. That's right. Focus more on connecting and getting blood into the muscle. And if you do it right, you're gonna feel a very rewarding pump, specifically in your quads. So that's our pre-exhaustive movement right there. All right, on to the next. Hey, what's up, bro? This next one we're gonna do is called front squats. I love these, particularly for my quads and my glutes. First thing I note is the positioning. Whenever I do front squats, I like to do this, I like to rest the bar in front of me on my chest, versus this grip here, where you've seen some guys, particularly a lot of the CrossFitters and the powerlifters, you'll see them grab the bar here and come underneath it. But my wrists are really tight, particularly from all that b-boying. So my wrists are really strong in just holding my wrists straight, so my wrists don't go back. Anyways, long story short, I find that this grip here works out just fine. What you do is I grab the bar overhand on one side and overhand on the other, and I get my chest, and you kind of have this little rough edge that's in the middle. All right, get myself right underneath it. There it is. Basically, I'm resting the bar like right on my shoulders, and I'm using my hands just to make sure that that bar doesn't drop forward on me. For a front squat, you want to make sure your shoulders are about your feet are about shoulder width apart. I like to turn my toes out slightly. So when I'm here, I focus on squeezing my quads really tight. So it's a tight flex. Deep breath. And down. And that's one that, when I do this, when I focus on sitting deep down into the front squat position, where I feel my, to where as I'm squatting down and I hit that position where I go just past parallel, I feel my calves running into the back of my hamstrings. That's how I know I'm hitting it really deep. And I feel that, I feel my entire sweep actually stretch. That's actually what I'm trying to connect with. I'm trying to connect with the stretch of the movement and then back up. So on this one here, still doing pre-exhaust movement, right? So I'm doing 3 more sets of front squats, and I'll typically go really light. This for me is light, so I'll do 15 to 20 reps with this. So when I get up,
That's fine, man.
so I just demonstrated how to do the full squat, the full front squat. What I'll do is I'll do 5 full, 5 half, then 5 full. And I'll show you what I mean. Half meaning like the rep is in between. And the half. And all the way. And that's how I pre-exhaust my quads. That's 15 reps. And I do 3 more sets of that. So leg extensions, front squats, pre-exhaust movement. By the time I'm done, my legs feel so pumped, I'm ready to go. So that's how I do that. On to the next, working sets. All right, next up, we're gonna be getting into working sets. I have with me a special guest, my buddy Chad. Chad is gonna he's gonna demonstrate what I mean by how to spot, right? We're in a compound movement, so I like to do 2 to 3 movements that are compound movement in my working sets. Of course, compound movement being front squats. Front squats now at this point, I'm gonna start training to failure. So when you need a spot, as you're pyramiding the weight, when I train to failure, that means I'm training to hit my reps at, my pyramid sets are gonna go from 15, 12, 10, 8, 5, 4, 1. Okay, my sets come down dramatically. However, say for example, I'm trying to hit my 4 reps. Typically, I'm gonna just spot on my 3rd and 4th rep. That's what I mean by training to failure and going beyond what my body is actually gonna do on its own. That's where your spotter is gonna come in and help you make those gains. So, the first spot is, we're gonna demonstrate. The first spot is by the bar, right? Deep breath. Right? Spotting me by just pulling the bar up. The next spot is under the chest. Under the chest, this is going to be really helpful, especially when you're going really heavy. Deep breath. Right? And the next spot is under the elbows. Under the elbows, what he's doing is actually pushing the elbows up. What that does is it helps me as I'm coming back up, it forces me to get my chest back as he's lifting my elbows up. Right? So those are the 3 spot positions that are crucial and that are going to help you in your gains when you're trying to go past what you can normally do on your own. All right, so those are pyramid sets, working sets, and that's how I utilize that compound movement in my lifts. All right, the next part of my compound movement that I absolutely love to do are hack squats. Here at Safe Fit Gym, we have this incredible hack squat machine, which I highly recommend you come to this gym just for this particular piece of machinery, if anything at all. This thing's awesome. What you're gonna do? Here, in case you've probably heard of 21s for curls, 7 on the bottom, 7 in the middle, 7 up all the way through. Basically, I like to do 21s on the hack squat machine. What I do is I pull a pin, so there's nothing guarding it, and I can go all the way down. The thing to take note of is notice the position of my feet. My feet are a little bit up. That allows me to, as I bend my knees, make sure that when I'm going all the way down at the bottom, my heels aren't in my butt, right? I'm not in a compromising position on my knees. So my feet are about shoulder width apart. Deep breath. I do 7 on the bottom. 7 in the middle. Or I'm sorry, from the top to the middle. Then I do 7 all the way through, right? Guys, take note. Warning you, this sled is actually really heavy. Careful if you just send your girl off to go and do this one here. It's very heavy, even for me. All right, so I do 21s on this. I do 3 sets of that. Then I start adding weight. And as I add weight, again, back to the whole concept of the front squat, I pyramid my sets. It goes 15, 12, 10, all the way down. And I'll do extra sets in between. So I might do 10, add more weight. I might only do 8, add more weight. I might only do 7, add more weight. I keep going. Everyone's gonna feel it themselves to gauge it where they feel it the most, but I recommend at least 5 sets pyramiding the weight and dropping down your reps. So make sure, especially on your compound movement, that you have a spotter helping you to get those extra reps in, extra 1 or 2 more reps. All right, on to the next. Another thing that I want to comment on is your breathing. When you get into your working sets, it's really important that, particularly when you're on squats, let me give you an example. There's 2 breaths that you need to take note of. It's that initial start breath, right? That's the part where you disengage the weight. This is gonna matter when the weight gets really heavy. So what I do is get underneath the weight. I take a deep breath. I'm visually telling myself it's 800 pounds. So to get myself, no matter how much weight it is, I'm mentally prepared for it already. So the first breath is a disengage, right? So it's a deep breath. Boom, I disengage the weight and I'm in the middle. The next breath, let it out. One more deep breath before you get down. And I hold my breath. I let it out at the top. The reason why I do that, I learned that breathing technique from a powerlifter friend of mine, a couple powerlifter friends of mine. And what that does is it allows me to, especially while I'm wearing a belt, allows me to expand my abdominal area, and that makes my base stronger on the bottom and allows me to press back up with a lot more force. That has helped me out tremendously, and it's helped out my gains in terms of how much weight I can push up or stand up. So that's just something to keep in mind whenever you're doing anything heavy in compound movement. There's always that initial breath when you're disengaging the weight. I even do that even when I'm doing flat bench press. I take a deep breath and I disengage the weight, and I take another deep breath, bring it down and go. So front squats can be tricky, and I encourage you to be careful. It's a little bit more advanced if you can do them without the assistance of a Smith machine. But I encourage you, if you've never done front squats before, try them in a Smith machine, because that's what I started off in, and it allowed me to learn how to increase my range of motion and connect with the movement before I started just trying to go heavy. All right, back to what I was saying. If you've never done front squats before and you're not sure of the position, even when you are doing front squats without just doing them in a squat rack, I encourage you to come over to a Smith machine, particularly in the beginning of your lift when you still have energy, and give it a practice round. Or if not, just do your compound movement in the Smith machine to start with. Just so you can learn the positioning in terms of how you sit down deep in the squat, stand up. So deep breath. A lot of times when I see guys when they do these front squats, they typically will sit forward, extend my butt drops back, and then try to stand up. That's bad. It's particularly on, here, let me show you on this one also. When I see guys doing front squats on barbell, like I said, I see them when they're squatting down, I see how my chest is in forward. In bodybuilding, or in any lift, we call this Superman, right? This one. One more thing, look at my heels. You want to make sure your heels stay flat. So, deep breath, squat, and then make sure your heels stay flat. Some people will stick the weights underneath their heels because their ankles are really tight, like me, I have tight ankles. They stick weights underneath their heels, allows them to sit deeper in the squat position and stand back up. But I feel like that just gets in my way from me just doing the movement and connecting with it to begin with. I don't want to worry about stepping on some weights, right? So what you can do to go around that, to get around, if you have really tight ankles, you can widen your stance. I know you're going to incorporate other muscles when you do this, but when you widen your stance, you allow yourself to sort of get around the whole flexibility issue. So deep breath, and slide down. And in doing so, I managed to keep my heels flat on the ground, and I'm still able to complete the movement. Now that I've already gone and accomplished my compound movement, I get into, I call them time under tension and supersets. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to get on this simple leg press machine. You can either get on the one that's plate loaded, or you can get on this. This is fine. For what we're doing, we're actually not going to go that heavy. Now I'll demonstrate what you're going to do. You're going to do what's called a 5-second positive, 5-second negative for 5 reps. Then you're going to pump out 10. Then you're going to do 5-second positive, 5-second negative, and then pump out 10. You're going to do that as many rounds as you can with the weight. That makes you feel like you're probably only going to get about 2, maybe 3 rounds. This is really hard. First thing you got to do, big shout out to NPC Wear. All right, what you're going to do, position your feet up on the leg press. Again, just like how you would on your front squats, your feet are about shoulder width apart. You're going to start off, your start position is with your legs fully extended, right? Your start position, make sure your feet are just, when your legs are extended, I make sure that my toes are just even with my chest, okay? That's going to matter when you're on the bottom. So your start position isn't actually a full extension. Your start position is actually with your legs bent right about at this angle here, where I feel tension on my quads. What I do is I make sure my fingers are touching my sweep. I'm not resting my hands on my legs. Don't ever do that, because you're going to take away from actually pressing with your legs. Keep my hands on my quads right to where I feel it, where it feels really tight on my sweep, because that's where my focus is at right now. So it's a deep breath and a 5-second negative. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then back up 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back to that start position, right? Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once you get to 5, you're gonna knock out 10 reps. I swear I put this light, and it's still heavy. I mean, what this does is you're exaggerating your time under tension. So your legs, don't be surprised if you feel like your legs are shaking, or you start to torque on this machine. Five-second negative, 5-second positive. 5. So after you finish that, again, you're going to failure. So me, typically, I can only get 2 rounds of that. Next is a superset. After you finish that first set, immediately come right to this next movement. You're gonna do what's called a lunge. All right, so a lunge, right away, you're gonna superset right into a lunge. There's 2 types of lunges. A lunge for your quads, a lunge for your glutes and hams. At least that's where I like to focus it, right? So my focus tonight, again, is on quads, right? So when I do my lunge, I make sure that when I step, the step is just far enough where my feet separate. When I squat down, my squat position is, my lunge position is actually straight up and down, right? And that's it, I stand straight up. If I'm trying to do a lunge for my hamstring, my position is actually gonna be a lot longer. So when I get down deep, I'm actually gonna pull, because I'm in a longer stretch position. I'm gonna pull with my front leg, my lead leg. I'm gonna pull forward. And that allows me to pull with my hamstrings. But because I'm doing a lunge for my quads, I'm trying to focus on just pressing straight down versus pulling forward. That's the difference between lunges in terms of how I focus on hitting my quads or my glutes and hams. So again, I'm just doing a superset right after my leg press, lunge. Only reason why I cross my arms on my chest, it allows me to mentally tell myself, keep your chest up. So there's my first step, straight down and up. Step forward, down and up. You want to make sure you avoid, when you're doing your walking lunges, your step is too small, watch my knee, and as you try to squat down or lower yourself down, your knee goes past your toes. And that puts your knees in a bad position that you don't need to be in. Make sure when you do your lunge, I'll do the other leg. When you do your lunge, you step forward, you need to make sure there's enough room for you to lunge straight down. Make sure that you keep your chest up. The reason why you want to keep your chest up is that's going to allow you to put more pressure and focus and tension on your quads and not on your hamstrings. That's what happens as you lean forward and you start to lunge down, you'll start to pull and put all the tension in your hamstrings. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna do 3 walking lunge steps, right? So as you go, it's a step, straight down, press, step, straight down, step, straight down. Each step, I'm trying to focus, and I pretend that I'm on stage and I'm trying to focus on flexing my quad as hard as I can, right? I'm trying to show the judge from, hundreds of feet away how tight and how much I can squeeze that muscle. That's how much I'm trying to telegraph my movement. So that's what I think of when I'm doing my walking lunges, no matter what position I'm trying to hit it from. All right, so leg press, superset to lunges. Lunges, I do 20 to 30 walking lunge steps. And that's how I do that 4 times. Next up, leg extensions. The whole point of this exercise next is to focus on time under tension. So we're gonna do a series of 3 drop sets. 3 drop sets. So what you can do, first one. All right, so let's see. First one, you're gonna start off really heavy. About 90% of your max weight, of your max, of how many you can do for 15 reps. First one you're gonna do, notice my toes. Flex your toes towards your chest, turn them out. The reason why I'm trying to do that is I'm trying to hit the inner tear duct of my quads, right? So it's a deep breath and extend, down, extend, and down. You can do 10 to 15. I give a range because sometimes I'm feeling 10, sometimes I'm feeling 15. But when you do it, at this point, you really won't need a spot, at least I don't. I focus on hitting that flush right at the end. Typically, the last one is a struggle, right? After you finish that 10th rep, I drop the weight by as much as 70%. I go again. This time, I do 15 reps. Again, the flush is gonna happen at 5, 10, 15 now. The whole point of the flush, like I said, is just to get blood into the muscle. But at this point, because you're doing the drop, there's so much blood rushing in your legs. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep going, you get to 10. Boom, hold it. 5 seconds again. 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going, I get to 15. The next one, which is probably the most painful one. I lower the weight by as much as 90%. Basically, I put the weight almost as low as it can go. But there's no shame in that. At this point, your legs are already completely fried. This next one is actually, believe it or not, the hardest one. I'm at the lightest that I can possibly go. When I go, I'm actually going to failure. And typically I'll hit somewhere between 15 and 30 reps, depending on how bad I'm hurting. Deep breath. And when I do this one, I focus not so much on the flush, but I focus on doing each one. Each one is a flex. Deep breath. Flex. And it's that pause at the top. That's what breaks me down faster, right? Which is actually really hard to do after you've done those 2 previous drop sets. So that one, again, is technically still failure. Right? I like to hit. Make sure you're in the range of 15 and 30, so you're getting enough movement in. And so, yeah, that's it. That's my leg training for how I hit quads specifically. Next thing we're gonna do is how I hit glutes and hamstrings. Big shout out, thank you to Stay Fit Gym. Thank you for allowing me to make these videos and sharing this experience with you. As for my YouTube channel and my website, akiramoment.com, please tune in, please subscribe, comment, share, like, whatever. Let me know what other videos that you would like to see, and I'll start kicking out more of these videos. But yeah, I love making these videos. It gives me a chance to reach out and help out my friends who've asked me countless times, like, here, what are you doing for this and that? So this is my leg training video on how I hit quads. Thanks again.